Thank you so much, boys and girls. Thank you. You can have a seat. I have a story for you this morning. You did such a good job. Look at you looking all pretty and ready for 2023, a new year. So, boys and girls, I'm going to start this new year by telling you a parable. You know that Jesus used to tell parables, right? Have you heard of parables? A parable is a story that is written and created to teach us a lesson. And Jesus spoke in many different parables, and he made some very creative and interesting stories that we can remember and that will teach us some very valuable lessons. So I thought, if Jesus can do it, it's probably a good thing, so I should try one. Is that okay? You ready for Pastor Rick's parable for 2023? All right, I like the enthusiasm here. All right. So here it is. Once upon a time, there were 3 children, and they were siblings. And there was the oldest was a girl named Zoe, the middle one was a girl named Lindsay, and the youngest was a boy named Noah. And Lindsay, Zoe, and Noah decided that they wanted to do something special for their parents' upcoming anniversary. So their parents were going to have an anniversary. It was a few days away, and the oldest one, Zoe, said, "Hey, guys, we should do something special for Mom and Dad. They're always doing things for us, and let's make them a beautiful, nice, romantic dinner." And so the other 2 said, yeah, we can do it, and we can have our favorite spaghetti. Said, "Oh, okay, well, we could do spaghetti." And the other said, "And we have to do garlic bread." And then Zoe, the oldest, said, "Well, we should probably do a vegetable like broccoli." And they said, "Okay, so we'll do spaghetti, broccoli, and garlic bread, and we'll decorate the table, and we'll get those candles out. And I know where the lighter is," said the youngest one, which is scary, but he somehow knew. And he says, "And we'll light the candles, and we'll surprise them because Mom and Dad, they work so hard, and their anniversary's on a Wednesday, and a Wednesday's, no big deal, and they're going to be working late. So we'll start getting it all ready, and when Mom comes home from her long day of work, we'll have a special dinner for her and Dad." So they were all excited. So Wednesday came, they got home from school, and they decided, we need to start cooking. So Zoe got her 2 younger siblings away from their phones and their video games, said, "Come on, guys, we got to start making the meal." And the youngest one said, "I'm going to make the garlic bread." And the middle one said, "No, I'm going to make the garlic bread." And then the youngest one said, "No, I'm making the garlic bread. You're making the broccoli." And then the oldest one said, "Yeah, why don't you," the middle one, Lindsay, "why don't you make the garlic bread make the broccoli, and we'll let Noah make the garlic bread." And Lindsay started throwing her arms and getting all mad. She said, "I want to make the garlic bread. Let Noah make the broccoli." So now there's a big fight. And Zoe says, "Okay, how about you first both make the garlic bread, then you both make the broccoli?" "Oh, okay, all right." So they started on the garlic bread, and Zoe pulled out a big pot to boil some water to make the spaghetti, and they started getting everything ready. Well, wouldn't you know, when she looked around, suddenly Noah and Lindsay are nowhere to be found. And she starts calling them, and then she's like, and Lindsay says, "Well, I already did my part. Noah has to do the rest." And Noah said, "No, I did my part, and Lindsay has to finish it." And she looked over, and there's some bread that's kind of cut up very poorly. There's some butter just sitting out for some reason. And it looks like the oven's been turned on, but nothing else is happening. And so Zoe says, "You guys need to come back in here, and you need to finish the garlic bread. And then remember, we got to do broccoli too." So he gets them back in there. Okay, so they start, and they start buttering the bread, and they get some garlic powder, I guess, and sprinkle it on the bread. And Zoe is getting the spaghetti ready, and the water's starting to boil. And then they decide, well, while we're waiting for this, we can now decorate the table. So Noah runs, and he gets the candles, and he gets the lighter, and he's about to light the candles. And they say, no, we don't light the candles until they're here. Otherwise, the candles will burn down. "Well, I just want to test them," he says, and he starts lighting them. And they say, no, we can't do that. And so they blow out the candles. Then they come back, and they find the tablecloth, and they find some nice napkins, and they decorate. And then Lindsay has to decorate or put the silverware, by the plates. So she goes and finds the nicer silverware and some nicer glasses, and they start getting everything looking pretty. And by that time, the water's boiling, so they run back. Oh, we got to put the spaghetti in. And then we see that the oven's now ready, so we got to put the garlic bread in. So they put the garlic bread in. And then they hear the garage. I think Mom's home. So quickly they all panic. What are we going to do? Mom's home. We're not done yet. So they say, well, go distract her. So they race over. And as soon as Mom walks in the door, hey, Mom, come this way. They don't want her to see in the dining room where they set the table. And the mom's like, oh, hi, guys. How was school? Yeah, Mom, we'll show you. Come this way. And they lead her real quick past the dining room so she can't see. And come on up to your room, Mom. We got something to show you. And they get up to the room, and they don't have anything to show her. But they got her in the room now. And they're like, well, Mom, why don't you change clothes and just get comfortable? And nothing happening here. Well, now the mom's very suspicious, don't you think? Something's going on. She doesn't know what. So the kids say, okay, Mom, we'll see you. Have a great day. Bye. And then they're gone back to the kitchen. Like, we got to hurry up. And so then the younger ones, Noah and Lindsay, Zoe says to them, hey, guys, why don't you start on the broccoli? And then Noah's like, but I hate broccoli. And Lindsay says, yeah, I don't think anybody really wants a vegetable. It's their anniversary. Let's not even have one. Okay. And Zoe says, but I think Mom's really going to want a vegetable. Yeah, it's just one meal, they said. We're almost done with the garlic bread. We're almost done with the spaghetti. That'll be good enough. So they decide we're just going to get the spaghetti done and get the garlic bread done, and then we can call them, and they can come have their special dinner. So they're waiting for the oven to finish with the garlic bread. They're waiting for the spaghetti to boil. Finally, the spaghetti's done, and then they start to smell something. And it smells like something's burning. And they wonder, where is that coming from? And so they go back over to the oven, and they open the oven, and guess what comes out of the oven? A bunch of smoke. Do you cook? Wow, you're amazing. This little one, man, I didn't cook till I was like 30, so that's impressive. You were way ahead of me. And so they go over, and all this smoke comes out. And instead of setting the oven to the proper temperature, they had put it to like the highest temperature. And the garlic bread was all burned. So they quickly got the hot, pads out, and they took the garlic bread out of the oven and let it cool, and they closed the oven door. And now they're like, oh, shoot, Mom's going to smell the smoke. So quickly they got a fan, and they plugged it in. They start blowing it away from the kitchen and away kind of towards the garage, trying to hope that nobody will notice that they're filling the house with smoke. And then they get the spaghetti out, and they drain it, and they start getting it ready, and they get the sauce out, and they put it in a dish with a big spoon. And they're saying, well, what are we going to do now that the garlic bread's burned? And Zoe says, well, maybe we can scrape off the burned. So they got a knife, and they start scraping off the burned stuff on the garlic bread to where they can see some white of the bread again. It was all black, and now it's getting whiter. So they're like, well, maybe they won't notice, and they put it on the plate. And then they get a special drink from the fridge, some juice for them, and they pour the juice. And when Lindsay goes to pour the juice, she realizes that while they weren't looking, Noah had lit the candles, and now the candles had burned down to where they're really tiny. And she said, Noah, what did you do? That wasn't me. Noah, we know it was you. You have the lighter. Well, I just wanted to test them, but we already tested them. Well, they need to be tested again. Well, now the candles are really low. The garlic bread is burned. Everything's kind of falling apart. Well, they decide, you know what? Mom will appreciate the thought anyway. So let's call them. They get everything ready. The juice is poured. They have the spaghetti and the sauce and the bread on the table. And they call Mom and Dad. And they have them close their eyes. And they bring them into the room. And they sit them in their chairs with their eyes closed. And then they said, Mom and Dad, open your eyes. And they're so excited. And the mom and dad open their eyes. And they say, happy anniversary. And they look at the badly burned, weird garlic bread. And the spaghetti in a bowl. And the sauce. And the juice. And the parents kind of look at each other. And then look at the kids. And the kids are all, isn't this exciting? We really went out of our way. And the mom very graciously says, oh, guys, thank you. This is very sweet of you. Very sweet of you. Like, yeah, we made your favorite spaghetti. And the dad says, isn't that your favorite? Well, maybe. But okay, thank you. So they take some spaghetti, and then they're like, is there anything else? Like, oh, you have garlic bread. I mean, kind of burned, but... So they take the garlic bread, and Mom takes a bite of garlic bread and then quietly spits it back into her napkin, puts it aside, and they eat the spaghetti, and the kids are still standing there, like, watching, and the mom says, you know what, guys? This was really sweet of you, but would you mind if I made a vegetable? And Zoe says to Lindsay, see, I told you she'd want a vegetable. I told you, this is Lindsay and Noah's fault. And then Noah says it's all Lindsay's fault. And then Lindsay says it was all Noah's fault. And then they say it's Zoe's fault. And the kids start arguing and screaming and say, you ruined it. No, you ruined it. You ruined it. Now, how relaxing do you think this was for Mom? Oh, so Mom broke up the fight. And she said, come on, guys. Come into the kitchen. And she went to the fridge. Guess what she pulled out? Broccoli. She pulled out some broccoli. She went in some freezer. She found that she had a frozen garlic bread. She got that out. And Mom started fixing everything real quick. And Dad kind of sat there smirking. And then she got everything together and kind of had the kids try to help, but they were still too busy blaming each other for what had gone wrong. And then they made sure to make sure that the parents knew that Noah had burned the candles out, and that was his fault. And finally, Mom got all the food. And then Mom said, would you guys join us at the table? And so they made 3 other place settings, and they all had an anniversary dinner together. But let me ask you, boys and girls, how helpful were the children really? Do you think the mom maybe did a little more work than she wanted to do for that dinner? In fact, I would say in the end, the mom did kind of most of the work. And the kids meant well, but it didn't really go well, right? And you know what? Sometimes I think we can make this mistake. Sometimes we want to do something to help, but we want to do it our way, right? We want to have our favorite food. We don't like broccoli, so no broccoli. We make decisions. We want to light the candles. We want to play with the fire. We want to do all the fun things, but not the important things. And I think that sometimes we do that with God too, not just our parents. And when we think about all that our parents have done for us, all that God has done for us, this morning when we do our worship service, Jesus is going to say to us, I want you to do as I have done for you. Well, that's quite a thing to say to us, that we should treat others like he has treated us. And so we need to think about how he has treated us, don't we? And we need to think about what our parents have done for us and how we can do something nice for them and what that really means. So I want to challenge you to think about that this year. When I'm giving and when I'm helping someone, can I help them in a way that really means something to them, not just something that I want to do? Can you think that way? You think you would like that if others did that for you? Do you think your parents do things for you they don't want to do sometimes? Oh, yes, definitely. So I hope you'll remember this message and that you'll remember this parable as you go into this new year. Thank you, boys and girls. You can go back to your seats.